And I had actually called this move because we've been down at the bottom of the channel, and I thought it probably would make a huge boost upwards. But what's interesting to me is that it's not quite at the top of the channel, which is a pretty strong line right there because we have 3 points. So I honestly think it will probably get up a little bit further, even though we have gone up quite a ways. It may take a little while to decide that it's going to go up. It's also interesting to me that the overnight trading, it's kind of flat, but it is slightly up instead of slightly down, whereas this one is pretty flat. So I think there's reason to believe that it will go up. All right, so I did my first trade. I got into a long. I had to chase it up quite a bit. Unfortunately, I wanted to get in down here when I first saw it turning and bouncing up because we have this nice zigzaggy pattern of going up and down, and it is pretty well uptrending. So I did want to do a long, not a short. So I got into a long here, and I put my exit order in. I thought it was a pretty reasonable spot up here. A nice trade. And then I'm looking at different charts here. Oops, I went the wrong way. I did put in a stop at the bottom of the channel because I was worried that perhaps I would be wrong. Because if you look at the 4-hour chart here, the one piece of information that is disagreeing with my my thinking right now is this 4-hour chart. It looks like the MACD is losing momentum. The RSI is super high, and I could definitely see it dropping quite a bit, maybe even down to this 100% line again. And I don't really want to hang on for all that. So I'm very worried that maybe it will be dropping. So I put in my stop just to make sure I wouldn't lose more than this. And I lost 212, which was a lot. That was an unfortunate first trade. Okay, so at this point, this looks like a better place for it to bounce. We're seeing a little bit more, I don't know, flattening out and turning. And also the MACD here also dropped a little bit further, and it looks like it's turning as well. The MACD, if you look back, let me go back in there, and just to justify my position, it did look like it was turning up at this point. So I don't know that this was an entirely incorrect trade. Just it was bad timing, I think, and it dropped back down, and I doubted myself. And so I lost money on that one. So that was kind of like how today went. I kept doubting my takes on things, and it was very slow moving. So the longer time you have to sit there and wonder what it's going to do, the longer time you have to start doubting yourself. So that's another thing that played into it. It's pretty slow this morning. All right, so I got into another long here because I did see reason to think that it was going to go up a little bit further, and it did. But I did not get filled. I did. It went up so far so quickly that I didn't get filled and missed on that opportunity, and I was kind of upset with myself. When it hesitated there and then started to go up, I decided at that point the MACD, as you can see, is just now going up, and it hasn't even crossed yet. So I still think there's probably room for it to go up further, and I'm looking at the top of the channel as kind of the place that it probably will go. So I got into a long here, and there you can see my exit order in way up there. It finally decided to go up, so that was encouraging. And I saw that it was kind of hitting this point right here, the peak that it had hit before, and stopping. So I decided just to go for a smaller trade, got out right there, and made like $100 or something, 112 I think on that second trade. So I got back a good bit of the losses that I had sustained in the first trade. And then because it looked like this was a pretty big red candle right here, I thought, well, maybe it is going to drop. And I could see that on the MACD here, and the MACDs on these two charts are very high. So there is possibly the idea that it's going to drop. So I did a short here, and then it continued to go up further. One thing that I was also looking at too was the discrepancy on the RSI. I went ahead and drew in a purple line, which is right here and here, but it doesn't really match up very well with what we're seeing. You can see it better on the 15-minute chart, and the longer term chart for the discrepancies are probably more important anyway. So we can see that the RSI is slowly losing momentum over this period of time, whereas the price action is going up. So I do think that we are slowly losing that upward momentum. So that was my reason for hanging on at this point. It went up pretty far and I held on, and I'm waiting for it to drop. But then it kept going up and went up quite a ways. And I think at one point I was almost $500 in the hole and hanging on waiting for that drop. And it happened right here. I was pretty excited about this because that happened very quickly and it was great big red candles. So I thought, okay, good. I'll probably have it drop down at least, I'll probably get out, at least a little bit of profit, maybe a little bit of loss. But anyway, it won't be as big of a loss as I thought it would be. But then it started to bounce right there. And I wasn't sure it was going to get down any further. So I held on a little bit further and it did drop just a little bit more. And you can see I raised up my exit order here just one tick below where I got in. So that would cover my commissions. I was hoping for that at least, but not really sure that that was going to happen because it seemed to be hitting the yellow SMA and finding support there. If we go to the longer term charts, the 5-minute and the 15-minute here, you can see that the MACDs are starting to turn over and drop. So there's that to balance it out. And I was doubting myself, and I'm not sure what information to look at here and what to judge this movement on. But I did end up, when it bounced here, I did end up changing positions. I got out at a small loss and then got into a long position right here. So that actually ended up being a good call because it did go up quite a bit. Okay, and this is where I was talking about where I'd readjusted the Fibonacci lines. I put in the points here, here, and here. It took me a while to kind of come up with those points. I wasn't really sure what to base it on, but I really like where it's laying it out here because it does seem to match with what I'm seeing in the price action. You can see that this peak right here was right on the Fibonacci line, and then the next one here as well. And the bottom as well here, and I don't know, it just seems to match up pretty well. And so I did a really good trade on that one, made $275 on that trade and got out there. Right at the Fibonacci line. So that was really, really good. That was an encouraging trade. So now I'm kind of back out of the hole, but I've made 4 trades. So I do have the commissions that are taking out just a little bit there. But basically, I'm very close to where I got in money-wise. I haven't really made anything today. And it is almost 10 o'clock. So I could have stopped here, but I don't like to stop without making money, which is a really bad habit. But anyway, so I did back out. My daughter was helping me she said, just back out and just kind of reanalyze the information. So I said, okay, that's a good idea. So I did, and I went back out and I looked at where the short-term Fibonacci that I had just drawn in matched up with the old Fibonacci line that I had. I believe, I don't know that I changed that actually. And look at that. Very interesting. It is ending up at almost exactly the same point, which is, I think, 60.85 and 60.88, somewhere's in there, which I do think, or no, it's 69. What was it anyway? I don't remember now. Maybe it was 69.85, 69.88. That would have been higher than that. 6,089. That's what it was. Oh my goodness, that's way up there. But it also matched the top of the channel line, which I thought was very interesting. So I do think that that is a pretty strong goal. I could definitely see it getting up there. Today, tomorrow, maybe the next day, I don't know, by the end of the week. I guess that would be tomorrow. But I do think that it's probably going to get up to that point very, very soon. And from there, probably it will start to drop. And we are already in uncharted territory. We have gotten up above where we've never been up this high before. So that's been kind of interesting. Okay, so when it broke through that Fibonacci line, I was waiting for a drop and it just didn't happen. So I decided I'm pretty sure it's going to get up to the next Fibonacci line. I want to get into a long right here, right now, even though it may drop a little bit. I do think it's going to go up. That the strong bullish sentiment seems to be overpowering the bulls market right now. So it got into a long and it started to trickle up and I was holding on and waiting. And then every once in a while we'd have like this this red candle drop right through here. And then it would bounce right back up again. Wait, did I get out? Oh, I think I did. I got out before it dropped. I think that's what happened. I left my order in because I still think that's probably where it's going to go. But I got out before it dropped, I think. So I got in, let me see again. Oh, I did lose money on that one. Excuse me. But I'm glad that I got out because the MACD looked like it was going to drop some more. And I didn't want to wait that out. I didn't want to put that much risk on the table. So I basically lost some of the profits that I had made so far. But I'm still to the good. Just a little tiny bit right now. Okay, so then the sixth trade I made, I got in at a better spot. I got in, well, okay, maybe I didn't. It started to go up a little bit more, so I got in right here, got into a long, and I'm still holding out for that point, that Fibonacci line up there. And this is where it kept dropping on me and holding support, which was good. I was waiting for that to happen. And then it would go up just a little bit further, but never quite up to where I wanted it to go or thought it was going to go. And I'm still hanging on here. And it dropped way down to the yellow SMA, which was at the 50% line, which was unfortunate because that's now put me in the hole a little bit. But then it bounced right off of that, so I wasn't too worried and kept trickling up. And again, it made a new high here, but it wasn't quite where I thought it was going to go yet. And it's 10:26. I've been hanging on to this trade for a very long time. And there's this bit of me that's it's a little stubborn. It's like, I say it's going to go there. I know it's going to go there. Just how long is it going to go there and how many dips am I going to have to go through in order to get it? And I get a little stubborn about it instead of getting out at, getting out here would have been, that would be $112. That's nothing to sneeze at here. But I didn't because I was pretty sure it was going to get up to there. But as time went on and it kept dropping down again, I decided to not be stubborn. I kind of recognized that in myself and lowered my order down so I could get out. And, it's probably going to get up to that point, more than likely. In fact, I still think it's going to get up further. So I kept putting it back up there and then changing my mind. Lowered it back down. It made a new high and it was like 2 ticks away from where I thought it was going to go. And it's like, oh man, it's so close and so frustrating. And it's 10:31. I've been sitting here in this trade for a very long time. I lowered it down. Finally got filled. And that was 6 trades I made. When you take out commissions of those 6 trades, I only made 181, but that's pretty good. I should be happy with that, right? I did take one more screenshot just to show that, yes, it did get up right to that line. You can see it went right to that line. So yes, my prediction did come true. And, but it being 10:36 now, I held on to that last trade for a half an hour, sitting here waiting for it to trickle up and dip down, and that's ridiculous. Because then you get bored, you get careless, and you get distracted. So hanging on to a trade that long is not a good idea, even though it ended up, I think I ended up making the right call there. But at any rate, it was a little bit longer trading day and a few more trades than I normally make, but I did all right, I think. Thanks for joining me.